Can we get back to the Daniel Jones comments for a second? Because I wanted to get your opinion on if Joe Shane's comments scare you at all about where he or if he's leaning a certain way about Daniel Jones entering his sixth season in the NFL. The making the comparison to Patrick Mahomes and he wouldn't be able to play behind this offensive line. Like, I get it. The playing quarterback behind a bad offensive line does make things significantly harder, but that is such, in my opinion at least, such a cop out answer when you get that from whether it's from teams or fans, because I think, there are examples of elite level quarterbacks who aren't in the most perfect situations still playing at a high level. But if, someone plays poorly, they get every excuse in the book to prove why it's not their fault. And, it happened with Sam Darnold and Zach Wilson for the Jets, and it feels like it's happening for the Giants with Daniel Jones for now a sixth year.
Well, I'm still banking on the year 6 leap. I think that it's still in the cards for Daniel Jones, but no, realistically, yeah, that quote did kind of frustrate me because I don't agree with it. Like literally the day prior to that Hard Knocks episode airing, I saw a 2-minute compilation video of Geno Smith breaking through tackles and sacks and throwing touchdown passes last season. And I think on paper, when you really break it down, the Seahawks had arguably an even worse offensive line in terms of excuse me, talent across the board than the Giants did this season. They had just as many injuries, if not more, all across that line. And they didn't have former first round draft picks or former third round draft picks starting all over the place. They had a bunch of undrafted guys playing, practice squad guys starting for them throughout those games. And Geno Smith made do. Like, yeah, he got banged up a little bit and he wasn't necessarily an elite quarterback or anything, but he was still a good player. And he was breaking sacks and navigating pressure and throwing touchdown passes. So I don't think it's a good excuse to say that the situation has been so bad in front of Daniel Jones and that's why he's failing. I think you do have to hold him accountable as well and take a look at the way that he played, because he didn't just always play so great in all of these games, but everybody around him was playing poorly. He was playing really poorly in a lot of those games too. Week 1 versus Dallas being an obvious one. Yeah, he got beat up a lot and there was a lot of pressure, but some of those throws that he made, I mean, they were ridiculous. He was running out of bounds on one of them, just threw it back into the middle of the field and threw a pick. You can't do that. So that you can't blame on the offensive line. And while that quote does give me cause for concern here with Joe Schoen, also the quote where he said, "I'm not giving up on Daniel," that also gives me cause for concern. But then I also get a little bit more confident because he did say things like, we have to be realistic about the injury history. He's had 3 injuries in 4 years. It's a big deal, and it's something that we have to consider going forward. And then there was another front office personnel member who kind of said something along the lines of, we need to figure out if he's the guy or not this year. So I do think that they're having conversations about whether or not they want to continue with Daniel Jones. And hopefully in this next episode, I think they're doing the draft stuff. So maybe in tomorrow night's episode, we'll get some clairvoyance on who they interviewed with and how seriously they were considering drafting a quarterback as well.
Yeah, that's going to be really interesting to see. And I think you bring up a good point too, like of the other side of the coin, where yes, they, in a way, were kind of backing their guy in Daniel Jones, but they left the door open for an out. And I mean, that was kind of obvious with the structure of the Daniel Jones contract too. Like, we kind of always knew that they had this opportunity to bail out if things didn't go great. Unfortunately, things went really rough in year 1, and probably in a perfect world would have liked to get out of it. But after the 2024 season is kind of your next chance where you could bounce out of the Daniel Jones contract. Then who knows? Maybe, like you said, in episode 2, we'll get a look, and maybe they were high on one of these quarterbacks. But unfortunately, they just never made it to within reach.
Yeah, and obviously we heard the rumors, the trade rumors. Giants reportedly tried to move up on draft day, get Drake May. I wonder if we get any insight into that. If we get either the Giants altering the footage and trying to tell the world that that wasn't true and it never happened, or maybe they will show it and they will have some behind the scenes looks at the Giants considering drafting a quarterback. I think that would be really interesting. Obviously, it'll put Daniel Jones into a tricky situation with something like that going public. But if that's what motivates him to play better and take the year 6 leap, then screw it. Show the footage and show us the Giants trying to get a quarterback. I think that that could actually be a good thing for Daniel Jones.
Yeah, it could. Maybe a little chip on year 6 chip on his shoulder leap. That's what we were missing this whole time.
That's exactly it.